SMT Nation, we back. Nation, this article from Mike Dano addressing the holdup in Verizon's 5G standalone network rollout. Let's take a look at some of the commentary from it. Let's look at some of the updates from the big red carrier in relation to the 5G standalone network development and deployment. Link for the article from Randall Jr. will be in the description. And don't forget ways to support your favorite content creators. Find those in the description as well. Okay, so ongoing delays with the 5G SA rollout for Verizon. Initially, it was thought that it would be deployed in 2020. Obviously, Verizon was trying to build out, elements of their standalone network through mmWave. A couple years later, right, we're looking at a substantial C-band build in 5G NR. And you've got capacity and you've got these channels on air. Now they've got multiple channels of N77, right? And then they got their channels of mmWave. There are things that would benefit the network if they were to launch the standalone network core. However, for those of you that aren't aware, Verizon has a lot at stake here. They can't just willy-nilly deploy a standalone network core that isn't thoroughly reliable or to the standard of the company. All right, so I'll get to that in a moment, but some of the commentary from this video, specifically the chief networking executive, Joe Russo, saying that at this point, it's only trials, right, in regards to the SA 5G operations. Commercial network traffic is still on the NSA core, right? And he's talking about LTE 5G combinations. In the next several months, he said, they will be entering the standalone core game. So basically what they've been doing, folks, for those of you that have been watching the channel, you may already know this because you've seen the content. What Verizon is doing is some devices that are data only are presumably running some of that standalone network operations, and then they're collecting that data, they're analyzing the performance, they're checking to see how things are working, and then, compiling that information, analyzing it, they can kind of see where it stands, checking on progress, seeing if it's ready for prime time. Verizon is not going to put their first responders' agency accounts on an unreliable, unstable network core. It's really important that they hit and they do this properly. They're not going to take any chances, right? So that's really what they've been doing. Commercial network traffic, probably 99% of it is on the NSA network core. A small percentage of devices that are data only probably been running the standalone network. Those folks probably don't even realize it or know it. And then Verizon is using that feedback to guide their developments, their settings, their software-defined operations and those types of things. But it's not commercially ready, and they're not going to be taking any chances. Now, within the article itself, you get commentary from Roger, friend of the channel, discussing things like there's no benefit to standalone or the benefits aren't there yet. So, they're not kind of just jumping in blindly, and then also I think if you just look at T-Mobile, who has launched a 5G standalone network they claim is nationwide, it hasn't helped their calling. It hasn't helped their reliability. Maybe it's helped in speeds in some places. Maybe it hasn't helped their home internet operations. We don't know of any of those things existing. So we don't want to urge or push in a direction that could create more problems than good, right? So I think that's basically what they're looking at. I think that's how Verizon is viewing this. So being first, not so important as being the best. And we've heard that from Verizon and we know their position. And I think they're wise to take that conservative approach. Guys, a standalone network doesn't necessarily nationally create something new for Verizon that helps them. Until that moment comes, I think that's when they kind of push forward with it. They're just waiting for that opportunity. I, for one, am glad because I have experienced many problems from the T-Mobile standalone network. Oftentimes, I have had to turn my phone into LTE mode to make it work more reliably. I just wanted to share that with you so you guys understand kind of what this article states and kind of what my experiences are and how I agree with the position that both Verizon and their networking folks, along with the, commentary from the contributors to the article. I think it's wise to be careful. Running a beta network to a large amount of your customers, you're asking for trouble. And let's not pretend like T-Mobile didn't just have the highest churn rate that they've had in several quarters. I'm not sure if it's connected to that. I'm just saying when you play with fire, you tend to get burned. right? And maybe kind of being first, maybe not necessarily the best, could be harming T-Mobile unless they're truly ready to do this thing in a reliable manner. AT&T has been very conservative in this as well. I know they're starting to run elements of standalone to see how that works. Just playing the waiting game till things are ready. So if this was a pizza, it ain't ready yet. I know you want a slice. You guys like how I did that network slicing? I know you want a slice, but it's gonna have to wait till it's ready. Tell me what you guys think of Verizon's approach to this update, the commentary. I'd love to hear what you have to say on this. You are the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard.